15秒，2023年1月13号 2023 January 13th at night time at 7:12 p.m. 7:12 at night time in the evening, in the early evening, 7:12 January 13th 2023 January 13th, the Friday night here. See seafood over there. I'm recording using my second YouTube and Google account. Second YouTube account with a blue symbol with a rear view mirror of myself in the mirror when I was driving a car. This kind of symbol. The second YouTube account of mine. 1分44秒. It's 1 minute and 49. 1 minute and 52, 54 seconds already. I'm turning on the first account. First Facebook account. 对，我刚把这个开。Facebook 第一个账户，放在上面开了。然后我说到是，现在是2023年的1月13号，星期五的，这怎么回事？3分多少？3小时36分15。2023年的又变成28分了，前面3小时的36分哪儿去了？变成38秒、39秒开始数。你说这个计算机被人干扰了，我现在没办法，打不开不能动。有的时候它计算机可以等一段时间它就被恢复了，但这次从早上开始一直黑的。鼠标都不动，我的大电脑恢复一下。人为的恢复一下。Chrome OS 没有第一个账户的 password。我的第一个账户的 password。Drive some restore here. Daily restore. Click on low. Restore 点了 restore 就没有 restore. Restore. 再点一次 restore. 我点了 restore 没有 restore，看没有？
Here with a little kick of jalapeno. The Grand Marlin Burger is massively popular, and no doubt a little bit of a hangover cure, with Tillamook cheddar and a brioche bun. Even the most famous brunch cocktail of all gets special treatment. A seafood Bloody Mary topped with poached shrimp and lobster, candy bacon, pickled okra, celery.
我点了 restore，它不给 restore。
Everything I talked
有好多打开的 pages，它不给 restore。
Next time you're looking for a wonderful way to spend your weekend, check out the Grand Marlin.
点了 restore， 它不给 restore。 这里是什么？
It's a great American story. We can't pinpoint the exact date when it was started, but it's been in New Orleans since 739 Iberville since sometime in the middle 1940s. We call ourselves a home. Never see a warehouse. Our president from Roosevelt said, Danny, somebody called me about an opportunity to go eat, and I learned
Tumblr 怎么回事？
when you go out to eat, you want great food, you want great service. We want our guests to know. We love the Independence Gold Beach. We're really, really excited about it. We feel very at home.
But it's a beautiful night here on the Pensacola Sound. I'm here at Flounders with Jason. He's the manager here. Jason, this is such a fun place. I love that I can come just put my toes in the sand, have a delicious drink. This is the diesel fuel, right?
Yes, ma'am. It definitely is.
That sounds dangerous a little bit.
It is. It's pretty lethal. It's a fun.
It tastes very good, though, I have to admit. So tell me a little bit about this place. You guys have been here a long time.
Yes. 1980, starting from where you're currently standing, everything was just sand, and we had a little tiny restaurant inside, and we've since gone to 2 acres of just fun and chaos, really.
Fun and chaos. Yeah, I can't beat that. Well, tell me a little bit more about this drink. I know this is your signature drink. It's absolutely delicious. Tell me what's in this.
That has been the staple. Vodka, rum, gin, splash of sour, Coke. Fantastic. It's very smooth. It's almost too smooth.
It really is. I feel like it's going to sneak up on me later.
You're only allowed 2 here.
And no matter what, you can have fun. Whether you're on a date night, girls' night, with your family, there's something for everyone.
Yes, that's been a huge part of what we have tried to accomplish over these years. It's everything. Stuff.
老虎好大，
Adults and adults who just want to hang
有
out.
这种老虎没这么大。 Grizzly bear。
Volleyball, it's fun for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, no matter what you're looking for, this is the place you can find it right here in Flounders. So come and check it out. We'll be looking forward to seeing you. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Okay, so apparently this debate has finally gained a lot of traction. Siberian tiger versus grizzly bear. At this point, it's almost on par with tiger versus lion or T-Rex versus Triceratops. Like the other two topics, which are pretty evenly matched, but we all know who wins, right? Well, the tiger versus grizzly debate is logically one-sided. So to establish the premise, the fight will be between an angry male Siberian tiger and an angry male grizzly bear. No backing out, no running away, just a simple, good old-fashioned brawl. This will be a head-on fight, so no cheap shots like ambushing. And one other thing, this fight will take place on an open field, so no claiming that a tiger or bear can hide between trees or anything to that extent. Alright, so now that we got some ground rules established, let's begin the analysis. Size. A Siberian tiger, or also called a Amur tiger, lives in the far east forest of Siberia, hence the name. And due to its cold environments, the tiger has thicker fur than its warmer region counterparts for obvious reasons. It gets pretty cold up in the far east last time I checked. However, they pack a lot of muscle under their fur. I mean, seriously, look at the shoulder and tricep muscles on this cat. And given that information, how much do you think a wild male Siberian tiger weighs? 600 pounds? 700 pounds? Nah, it's actually more around the 400-pound range. This may be a shocker to some of you, since you've probably been hearing that tigers can grow up to 60 pounds. The key phrase is up to 660 pounds. This is tigers that are fed constantly, thus making them obese. In fact, the historical average weight of a wild male Siberian tiger was around 475 pounds. However, 18 pounds, with the average weight being around 386 pounds. Now, regarding the size of the North American grizzly bear, it really depends on the location and season. A good concentration of these bears inhabit Alaska up there too. Because of this, they have coarse fur and thick layers of fat, which make them living tanks. After all, grizzlies are the reason why the term bear mode exists. And I don't think people truly realize how big these bears really are until they've seen them in real life. The average between 600 to 900 pounds. Along with that, it's not uncommon for males to reach around 1,000 pounds in weight, especially during the winter. But interior grizzlies, for example, the ones in Yellowstone National Park, average between 400 to 600 pounds, with the number being closer to 600. So, we are already looking at a big size difference between these two beasts. The average grizzly is significantly larger than the average Siberian tiger. Even if we take the largest recorded wild Siberian tiger, that being the 770-pound anomaly, it would only be comparable to the size of the average coastal grizzly. And for all those people who are keen on highballing the Siberian tiger's weight to 700 pounds, grizzly, with the largest wild grizzly weighing 1,200 pounds. Yeah, so the tiger is not winning the size game right now. But perhaps speed is another factor you have to consider. After all, what can't catch you can't kill you. And having less mass will ultimately be a benefit in this category. The Felid build is designed for very intense explosive power. This is due to their high amount of fast-twitch muscle fibers. Hence the reason why they catch are some of the fastest animals alive. Siberian tigers, with their muscle-dense build, can sprint much faster than bears. They are capable of running up to 50 miles per hour. But top speed is actually hardly a factor in this fight scenario. You know, tigers and bears don't really collide into each other when they brawl. However, the tiger is generally quicker with its paws and is more agile than the bulky grizzly. It comes to no surprise since they are very muscular after all, with their muscle density being around 55 to 65%. Also means they have pretty low stamina. Tigers are ambush carnivores, meaning that they rely on stealth and their explosive power to leap onto prey. Given that, hardly any tiger fights actually last longer than a minute or two, and even then, it's very sporadic and not continuous. The grizzly bear, on the end, can fight for a lot longer since their body enables them to do so. They have more slow-twitch muscle fibers than a tiger, meaning what they lack in explosive power, they more than make up for with endurance. Just for reference, some of their fights have even lasted longer than 10 minutes. That sure beats like the minute and a half the tiger can fight. Also, I'm not even kidding when I say this. They're having them. I'm talking about the bear chasing the horse until the horse becomes exhausted. Yeah, I would sure love to see a tiger do that. To even further justify on why grizzlies have more stamina, they have a lot more fat, with their muscle density being between 45 to 50%. That means pound for pound, the bear carries more fat than the tiger. This is surprisingly a perk, since it helps increase their endurance by offering more energy to use. Now, I'm not claiming that an obese bear has more stamina, since that's not the case at all. Having more than a healthy amount of fat would exhaust any animal due to its increased heat and weight. I'm simply saying that fat is a necessary thing to have and can help maintain and extract more power over longer periods of time. This is just one of many reasons on why grizzlies have more stamina. Now, even though the tiger's body is more muscle dense, that does not mean they are stronger. Bears and felines have two different body layouts, so you cannot compare their muscle densities as a percentage ratio. However, what you can compare is how their muscles are used and the amount of force put behind them. For example, the hind limbs of a grizzly are built for upright stabilization, allowing them to stand up and grapple for long periods of time. This makes sense, since a grizzly's paws and femur are larger and more. On the other hand, the tiger's hind limbs are used for more abrupt movements, such as leaping onto their prey's back. And speaking of tigers hunting, we should probably address the big elephant in the room, that being the statistics for Siberian tiger versus Ussuri bear conflicts. Many of you have probably heard about tigers hunting brown bears. And while that's not exactly false, it does lead to some misconstrued beliefs. Siberian tigers go after juvenile brown bears or hibernating mothers. Essentially, just like any other big cat, they hunt the smaller and weaker individuals when their guard is down, like when the bears are sleeping. These situations make up the bulk, if not all, the biostatistics when regarding the interactions with the Ussuri brown bears. And this makes sense since cats are ambush carnivores that stay away from fighting healthy, rageful adults in a head-on fight. In addition to that, Amur tigers most certainly do not face off against mature male brown bears in a head-to-head fight. There have been 0 recorded cases of that happening. The fact of the matter is that a lot of these supposed statistics, writing the journal equivalent of "Trust me, bro," tiger fans may even pull up the infamous 22-12 win ratio favoring the tiger in interactions. However, the ratio is deliberately ambiguous on the age and gender of the brown bears being used. That statistic is questionable at best, and it almost kind of seems like it was made up. On a related note, the best evidence we have of tigers killing brown bears is tiger scat showing brown bear fur. Again, you cannot tell the age or gender of the brown bear when looking at the undigested fur. In fact, the only logical inference you can make is that the tiger ate a brown bear. For example, a juvenile brown bear could have died prematurely, and the tiger stumbled across its remains and gobbled it down. Furthermore, I would like to reverse the situation, and you tell me if it seems fair. Let's say a mother tiger and her cubs were sleeping one night, and a big 700-pound brown bear mauled the mother and her cubs to death and ate the remains. Would you say that was a fair fight and should be added to the loss ratio of the tiger? No? Well, if that's not fair, then why even consider it a feat? That's essentially what's happening with these obscure statistics. Some people even try using the faulty claim that tigers hunt brown bears as vindication on how the tiger would win. That statement, as proven earlier on, is founded on ambiguity and made-up statistics. Trust me, I could do a whole video on the interactions between tigers and brown bears, but let's save that for a different time. I want to continue on with the arguably more important factor, which is weaponry and fighting style. Claws and biting are obviously going to be on tap in a tiger versus grizzly fight scenario. They both have them, so they're both getting used. But there is a pretty significant difference between their weaponry. A tiger has curved, retractable claws that are a decent bit sharper than the bear's. They protrude out of the socket about 1.5 inches. They are mainly used to capture fleeting prey and rip through their flesh. Now, even though the tiger's claws are sharper than the grizzly's, they are a decent bit smaller. A grizzly bear's claws can grow around 3 to 4 inches, and they are used for gripping the ground, digging, and of course for brawling purposes. But perhaps claws aren't the only factor when considering strike effectiveness. What they're attached to, that being paws, are another thing we have to consider. Brown bear paws, in particular grizzlies, are huge. They measure around 8 inches in diameter. Just for reference, that's as large as a human's head. On the other hand, a Siberian tiger's paws measure about 4 to 5 inches in diameter. That's just only a little larger than a human hand. Not only does this mean that a grizzly's paws are nearly twice the size, but it also indicates that it would have a stronger strike. It would just simply have more force put behind it given the size advantage, the weight gap between the bear and tiger, and the muscle distribution of the bear having a more concentrated shoulder region. However, paws are only half the battle. Biting is obviously going to be another hot favorite in this theoretical fight. They both have insanely powerful jaws, with them being able to produce over 1,000 psi. Now, it should be noted that the grizzly has a slightly stronger bite, with it being around 1200 psi. However, the force output of each individual is close enough to where it doesn't really matter. We should also consider an important aspect in biting, which is density and skull shape. As seen from the presented image, which is scaled according to the average specimen, the bear has an overall larger skull and brain casing. This not only infers that the bear is possibly more intelligent, but also has a bite reach advantage. However, the canines tell a different story. The tiger's skull is strictly crafted for a carnivorous diet, with its canines being slightly longer and more robust. The skull of the tiger is also more compact and built denser. This implies that at equal weight, the tiger would have a stronger bite, but the grizzly is nearly double the size, so dismisses that inherent advantage. And speaking of advantages, who fights better, a tiger or a grizzly? This question has an obvious answer, so let's just get straight down to business. The grizzly is a brawler. It favors grappling, pinning, and throwing around its weight. It doesn't really go for the neck as often, as it just bites whatever area it can reach. This, in turn, leaves wounds across the body rather than a concentrated area. Their huge paws are also used as manipulation tools, assisting them in off-balancing and pinning their opponents down. The tiger, however, fights uniquely among the big cats. They too like to fight standing up on their hind legs. However, they tend to favor striking with their paws and batting at their opponents rather than wrestling. In addition to that, they like to almost immediately go for the neck when their opponent is on the ground. This is different than the brawling and brute force method of the grizzly. The bear likes to dive in and pin its opponent to the ground, while the tiger favors striking and leaping into action. Alright, we have our stats. So, who wins in a fight between a Siberian tiger and a grizzly? If not made obvious already, the logical answer is the bear. Now, I'm not saying it's a total stomp, but the bear wins with pretty moderate difficulty. Something tells me that a tiger standing up to fight a bear nearly double its size would not end well for the feline. If, by some miracle, the tiger manages to ground the grizzly and bite it, it would just get a mouthful of fur and fat. Also, the tiger kinda has like a solid minute or two before it runs out of energy. The grizzly, on the other hand, is a living tank. Its paws are a lot larger, its fighting style is better in this scenario, and it has a lot more endurance. So there you have it. Can't wait to see all the salty tiger fans in the comments.
What was that? We introduced some grizzly bears into Siberia.
So there you have it.
Solved the
Can't wait to see all the
already.
salty tiger fans in the comments.
We do have a beer example called Beach Cat. When we sell a Beach Cat beer, all the proceeds go to a local animal charity. We also have Beach Cat t-shirts. Part of the proceeds from the sale of those t-shirts will go to a local animal charity. We'd like to invite everybody out to the back porch. You're here, come on in, have a great meal, and visit the front door agreement.
If you ask the extremely loyal locals who gather for breakfast at Sunset Bay Cafe, there's no better way to start your day than breakfast on Choctawhatchee Bay. Fed by the Choctawhatchee River, the third largest in Florida, the beautiful bay is a natural wonder, home to endangered species and teeming
There's a watch later.
It's a beautiful one-of-a-kind backdrop, beautiful made from scratch breakfasts. Sunset Bay Cafe is no rushed in and rushed out breakfast restaurant. This is a true original. Locally locally owned and operated. Homemade jams are made with love, as are the incredible homemade cinnamon rolls with Florida orange cream cheese icing and the handmade crab cakes with Bayside pancakes. Voted best chicken and waffles 3 years in a row. Voted Miss Bloody Mary. Sunset Bay Cafe is one of a kind and a must-do for breakfast lunch. Also open for lunch. Located right on the Chattahoochee Bay Extension. Sunset Bay Cafe,
Japan, at the dawn of the 17th century, was entering a new epoch. The country had just been united, and thus the Sengoku Jidai, a near century and a half of endemic feudal warfare, had come to an end. Peace proved to be yet another challenge for the new overlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi, for his country was now home to hundreds of thousands of warriors with no war left to fight. Thus Hideyoshi turned his ambitions outwards, and now that he could harness some of the most veteran armies in Japanese history, he would launch a devastating invasion of Korea. Welcome to the new Kings and Generals video on the Imjin War. These long videos are very difficult to make, so consider subscribing, liking, sharing, and commenting to earn us some grace with the gods of the algorithm. You can support us via Patreon, the link in the description, or via YouTube membership. The button is under the video. Now, this may have happened a long time ago and in a far-off place for most people, but you should know that Japan might still show up at your door. Fortunately, it's quite a different sort of visit, as now they're just delivering tasty snacks and treats, which is the role of our sponsor, Tokyo Treat and Sakura-Co. These are two different snack box subscription services that both bring an experience of Japan into your home. Tokyo Treat focuses on seasonal products that are exclusive to Japan. Their current box, Snack in New Year's, features Kit Kat Strawberry Chocolate Cake, Fanta Premier Pear, Spy Family Anya Candy, and more. Sakura-Co, on the other hand, focuses on traditional cultural snacks made by Japanese artisans, along with tea pairings, and you get a piece of authentic Japanese tableware in each box. The current box is New Year's in Niigata, featuring Niigata regional specialities, like Ejikuhime Strawberry Crepe and Niigata Cognac Yokan. You get some Genmai Hojicha tea to enjoy it all with, and a sake cup to celebrate the coming of the Year of the Rabbit. Both boxes come with booklets covering the Japanese food culture of the items included. And if you like the sound of all this, use our link in the description and discount code below to get $5 off your first box. But there's another offer too. Sakura-Co is running a free ticket to Japan giveaway until January 31st, 2023. So check that out too, link in the description. In the last 2 decades of the 16th century, the great warlord Toyotomi First, 2023. So check that out too, link in the description.
Hey guys, it's James again here, and that's nice to see food. We'll talk about Love Country Bowl today. I've been getting a lot of phone calls on Love Country Bowl. Now, Love Country Bowl started years ago, where the shrimp guys would bring the shrimp in, and then different wives would go get potatoes in the corn, and the crab guys would get the crab. They just meet up at somebody's house, get a big pot, and sit around.
Wow. It's not showing the whole map.
Snow crab, wheat crab, whatever you like. You can come by and order. Like I said, I can do 2 tables on 100 people. But just like say you're in a motel, you don't have no way to cook it. You can come up here, I will cook it for you. And we cook it in a way where we put it in a pan and cover it. By the time you get back.
Last 2 decades of the 16th century, Hideyoshi had more or less achieved his goal of uniting Japan's many warring fiefs. In 1582, he claimed Honshu in its entirety after succeeding his betrayed master Oda Nobunaga. Shikoku was then subdued in 1585, and Kyushu fell soon after in 1587. As the land of the rising sun came ever closer to unification, all rival daimyo who swore to follow Hideyoshi were allowed to keep their domains and were promised more lands and spoils. However, once Japan was unified, lands and spoils would be hard to deliver on, as there would be no more battles to fight or gains to be had. Aware of this fact, he made plans to turn his vassals outwards in the late 1580s, hungrily eyeing Korea as the initial target, and the Chinese Ming Empire after that.
Mongols. A bigger picture of all these places, countries.
But it's a beautiful night here on the Mystical Sound. I'm here at Flounders with Jason, who's the manager here. Jason, this is such a fun place. I love that I can have this with my nose in the sand. Capitalistic rain. This is the diesel fuel, right? Yes.
哦，我刚错过了一个。How come I passed this good looking section again? How come? I want to see the beginning of the goblet. Hmm.
Look at this way.
I think I passed it. I missed it. I missed it again. The bigger picture.
These invasions, like Nobunaga before him, Hideyoshi believed that his power ought to extend beyond the confines of his small island nation, and was convinced his destiny was to conquer further afield. Straight. The lords of this clan, the So, had since become Hideyoshi's vassals. Message to the Koreans, which demanded their submission to the Japanese state. This put the So in a difficult spot, for their long relations with the Korean Joseon monarchy made them ideal diplomats, but an outbreak of hostilities between Korea and Japan would damage the trade which granted the clan much of its wealth. Aiming to soften the diplomatic blow as much as he could, So Yoshishige altered Hideyoshi's message to the Korean court, blunting much of its threats and demands, and changing it so that it stipulated only a simple tribute mission be sent to Japan in order to confirm Korea's respect. However, this plan would backfire. In a lethal blunder, the So clan leader sent a rough, hardened subordinate, known as Yutani Yasuhiro, to deliver the message, instead of going himself. Yasuhiro conducted himself in the most indelicate way possible, insulting his Korean hosts by degrading the size of their spears compared to the Japanese and mocking their lifestyle. Not content with that, the brash envoy warned, "Your country will not last long. Having already lost the sense of order and discipline, how can you expect to survive?" The uncouth nature of the envoy's conduct and as to the Korean refusal to pay any form of submission or respect to Hideyoshi. Naturally, Hideyoshi was furious at the failure and ordered that Yasuhiro and his entire family be killed. So Yoshishige was punished less severely, being replaced as daimyo of Tsushima by his adopted son, Yoshitoshi, who Hideyoshi considered more trustworthy. Over the next few years, more embassies were sent from Japan to Korea and vice versa. In a crucial visit to Kyoto in 1590, Korean courtiers failed to gather intelligence on just how powerful Hideyoshi's military was, leading their government to underestimate the imminent danger. Furthermore, the issue divided the Korean court factions, named for the location of their respective headquarters in Seoul. Members of the Westerner faction gradually came to realize the very real peril Japan posed, but any attempt to prepare for the invasion was actively opposed by the Easterner group. In Japan, a colossal war machine was gearing up in the summer of 1591, beginning with Hideyoshi's establishment of a newly fortified headquarters complex on the island of Kyushu. From there, he oversaw the levying of a massive army comprising 335,000 total troops, 158,000 of which would cross to Korea itself. The levies were raised by Japan's various daimyo lords, who, in a system known as gunyaku, were obliged to supply a predetermined number of men according to the size and wealth of their fiefdom. Beyond that, other political factors could influence a daimyo's required contribution, such as their personal standing with Hideyoshi. The 158,000-strong invasion force consisted of 82,200 men from Kyushu, which was closest to Korea, 57,000 from Honshu,